Tony Daunt is with us, too. Let's bring him in and have a little bit of a roundtable discussion here.
Tony Daunt, my goodness.
I'll back out of it as much as I can, because listening to you two smart guys talk, well, I'll actually learn something. He's the executive director of the Michigan Freedom Fund on the AT&T line. Welcome back, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hello, Tony. How
Give
are
us
you?
your headline, if you would, after yesterday.
Oh, boy. Voters are unpredictable, I guess would be the main headline.
Funny you should say that, because Dennis Muchmore, who's seen it all, like you have, just said there's usually one surprise that comes along on a primary day or a general election day.
That I would wholeheartedly agree, and it's usually more than one. And I think last night, we saw a few, and as far as I know, there's still a potential for another big surprise. I don't know as one has completely been put to bed, and that would be State Senator David Kniezek in that race. And that's a candidate that filed a waiver in terms of not spending more than $1,000. So
yeah, I'm stunned by that, Tony. What's that all about?
I'm as well.
I mean, there's always a few of these kind of wild, out of left field, and that clearly is out of left field because David Kniezek was kind of the rising star of the young Democratic Party, I thought, and a great guy.
Yep, and has spent a lot of time his role with the caucus, and in many instances you can think, well, maybe they weren't paying attention to the district and got caught off guard. But when somebody files a waiver, they're usually not doing much. And so who knows? It could just be typical Wayne County craziness with vote counts and chaos in that fashion. So we'll wait to see. The other thing that I noticed was the utilities spent. I think consumers in particular, just over $2 million on TV and radio alone in the races that they played in, and it came out at best, a 50-50 with win versus losses. And so that gets to the issue of money versus message and candidate. And, obviously money can't always just buy races.
Clearly not. Now, Lena Epstein spent $800,000 of her own money, as I understand it, over there in the 11th to replace Dave Trott, and she looks like the winner over some pretty savvy people, including Senator Mike Kowal.
Yeah, it was kind of a collection of folks there, and they were really good candidates. I think both in the Republican and in the Democratic primaries, they were both had slates of candidates that were terrific.
Well, Tim Greimel's an experienced fellow who was shown the door.
Yeah, and that happens sometimes. That the way that district is constructed, Tim's former old base was really not that relevant a player in a primary, and so that's what happened to him. And Mike Kowal's a wonderful guy, terrific person, and his base was kind of in the middle of that district, and it wasn't enough to carry him forward either against Lena, who's really a super candidate.
And had the Trump, obviously, was very big in the Trump Michigan campaign. Now, if it is the year of women, both of you, I would ask, does Gretchen Driscoll suddenly find herself with a chance against Tim Walberg, and does Alyssa Slotkin have the opportunity to upend Mike Bishop?
Boy, I would say that in the 7th district there, Walberg and Driscoll, that Congressman Walberg's done a great job and has shown repeatedly that he can win in that district. And I think that the district is just too much in his favor. And in the 8th, Congressman Bishop's done a great job as well. But the challenger is raising quite a bit of money, and anything, as we saw last night, anything can happen. But with regard to the 11th there, what you see is usually especially when there are multiple candidates, more than it's not just a head-to-head race, many things can happen, and that's when having the larger pockets, bigger wallet helps.
Tony Cuthbert says the New York Times has called Betty Jean Alexander the winner over State Senator David Kniezek. And in the 6th, you've got Matt Longjohn, who has earned the right in the primary to take on Congressman Fred Upton. Should he change his name to Matt Longshot?
Well, I think so against Fred, to be honest with you. I mean, Fred's a super candidate. And I totally agree with Tony on the other ones. I mean, you really the thing people forget about Tim Walberg is he's one heck of a campaigner, and his wife is a terrific asset, and she loves campaigns, and she's good at it too. And and they're a pretty good tandem out there. And I think Mike Bishop, you've got one end of the district working against another part of the district. Slotkin has raised a lot of money, and she's a dynamic candidate. So, and she's frankly, not politically so much, but I was thinking about the other day. She's more in the realm of Mike Rogers and his expertise.
Mm-hmm. Defense and security,
and that kind of stuff. So I find that kind of interesting.
If does the governor sit on his hands and in the general election, since he obviously, or at least anecdotally, has no love lost with the AG?
Well, I'm obviously Dennis knows the governor much more closely than I, but I would say I can't see that being possible. This is a very clear choice with Schuette versus Whitmer, and which one is going to be most likely, or really.
He'll have to be drawn in. Tony Daunt, Michigan Freedom Fund, will continue to talk with you over the coming days and months.